Christ, upon the cross, Jesus Christ, didn't you feel alone, Jesus Christ? Oh, crown of thorns, Jesus Christ, dear sweet Jesus mourns. Jesus is his name. All right, cutting that. A little intro. I don't know if I'll do that more, but that was kind of fun as I get a little bit more into the technology. So this is lecture 5. I don't know quite what it's called, but it's something like Jesus, Ginsberg, Krishna, and the uniting of East and West. So here goes nothing. I'm excited about this one. It's going to be fun, I think. It's going to be fun to give. Hopefully it'll be fun to listen to and watch. First I want to say happy Krishna Janmashtami. This is Krishna's birthday. And since I started these lectures on Lucian's 100th birthday back in March, I knew that this one was coagulating in my brain. I knew that if I continued with my procrastinating ways, that it might be a while. So when I saw the birthday thing, and you'll see Krishna is going to figure into this lecture quite a bit. So I thought, okay, that's a perfect deadline. I do have other things to do today, but I needed to throw this together. I call it going off half-cocked. So I'm going off half-cocked. I've spent about an hour throwing this together, but it's been coagulating, like I said, for quite some time. So I hope I make the points that I'm trying to make. One way or another, I'm going to make them. I hope they'll come across to you and that you'll be able to appreciate and enjoy and hopefully be a little bit enriched by what I'm about to share. So this is not Krishna. This is Jagannath. Jagannath figures into the Krishna legend. I bought this at the Festival of Chariots, I want to say about 3 years ago in Golden Gate Park, that is thrown by ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And if we turn it around, ta-da, we got the Maha Mantra going on in the back. So I'm wearing this, and you'll see why, but it's fun. I pulled it out of the dirty clothes. The good thing about video lectures is that no one can smell me but me. But I didn't want to miss the opportunity. So, okay, we hear a lot about the beats ushering in Eastern religions to the West, particularly with regard to Zen. D.T. Suzuki, the San Francisco Zen Center, Alan Watts, and all of that. But this is going to be a little bit of a slight departure from at least that popular legend as we open it up to Krishna, Jesus, and Christianity and the role that they played in this merging of East and West. I don't know about you, but I'd heard at different times that there might be some kind of equivalency between Christ and Krishna, that somehow they're holding a torch in the East and West for this this unity, perhaps having to do with building a sense of oneness in the entire planet. I wish I could trace the source of this rumor, but it's kind of existed in the back of my mind. And so we're going to be building on that a little bit. Okay. So Allen Ginsberg was a Jew, not very religious, I don't think, growing up. And but very early on in his life, as he became a self-aware adult, he started to have little incursions of Jesus and Christianity. I'm not quite sure how he received those as they arrived, but as somebody that almost compulsively recorded his life, he recorded these with not a lot of editorialization on them. So I'm going to open to one, and I've referred to this book multiple times. It's played a key part in my research. The Book of Martyrdom and Artifice. First Journals and Poems, 1937 to 1952. Alan had a healthy ego, and apparently it came through in his dream life too. This is a dream, August 22nd, 1944. So I want to say less than a week after Lucian Carr killed David Kammerer. Today being August 16th. I want to say it happened on the 14th or 15th of 1944 anyway. Dream that I received this praise from the big Jesus. He recommended me to someone as the most versatile, erudite, strongly intelligent person around here. I was respected then for the solidarity and variety of my politico-artistic accomplishments. 1944, I think Alan was 17. I don't know that he had any politico-artistic accomplishments then. But maybe it was a premonition, right? There he is. There's big Jesus. Moving on. So yeah, there was this if it was a Jeopardy question and they said something like, this literary movement is known to be responsible for ushering in Eastern religions to the United States and the West. The answer would be the Beat Generation, right? But they had help. They had a lot of help, and the groundwork was laid. And I haven't even gone all the way down that rabbit hole, but it's a fascinating one for sure. I've gone a little bit of the way, so I'm going to share kind of what I found down that rabbit hole. But for sure, it was not just Buddhism. It was not just Zen. I'm going to give a plug to Dennis McNally's new book, The Last Great Dream. He goes down this rabbit hole. I've read a bit of it, but I've covered this period, and it's really, really good. So not bringing in different various influences, bohemian movements, even back into the 1900s, that helped sort of lay the groundwork, not only for the merging of East and West, but also for the Beats themselves and hippie movement. He does the thesis of the book is kind of how Bohemia and the Beats flowed into, Haight-Ashbury and the hippie movement. That's a theory that, although popular and pervasive, I take issue with for various reasons, which I've mentioned in previous lectures. But the scholarship and the thoroughness in that research and scholarship is really, really good. Let's see. One thing that you hear almost nothing about, and this is why I brought in Jesus at the front end, was you hear about Buddhism in the West, D.T. Suzuki, et cetera, like I mentioned, Alan Watts and so on. You don't hear a lot about, aside from Jack's sort of fetish as a Catholic, being very excited, kind of this mystical person, but very much a Roman Catholic. Aside from that, you don't really hear a lot about Christianity and its role. You just sort of mostly hear about Jack and how he had a Buddhist period, and then he went back to Catholicism and all of that. But Christ in particular, and to somewhat lesser degree Christianity, we're very much involved in this merging of East and West. I'll throw in an example real quick. When LSD came on the scene, there were groups of mystical Christians led by people like Harry Rathbun. Stuart Brand was influenced by him, as well as Frederick Spiegelberg, who started the American Academy of Asian Studies, which was influential on GINSBERG, Gary Snyder, that attended the lectures that would happen in San Francisco starting in 1951. But they came out of Christian traditions. Harry Rathbun was actually a Quaker, started the Sequoia Institute, which still, as I understand it, I could be wrong on the timetable, but I think that the Sequoia Institute still inhabits a building in Ben Lomond where the Quaker meeting exists up there in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And Quakers are certainly Christian, although I wouldn't call them fundamentalist per se, but certainly having that strain of Jesus going on. So this merging of East and West has at least three prongs. I recently identified a fourth, which I'm going to go into in a later lecture. But just to kind of give a background, there's the religious merging that started, as I've seen so far in my research, and it's ongoing, and it is, as any, I guess, science is, it's going to be updated most likely. But Swami Vivekananda came to the United States around 1900 with Hinduism. And with Advaita Vedanta, his own spin on Advaita Vedanta, which is a non-dual stream of learning. Yogananda came a couple, 2-3 decades later, what became the Self-Realization Fellowship. So that was another wave, and D.T. Suzuki came with Zen, which is, again, which he's credited with assisting with the Zen side. Sorry, my speaker just timed out. With the Zen strain of things, which is we know about from books like the Dharma Bombs, Buddhism, and so on and so forth. Secondly, again, going into the academic side is the second prong of the East-West merger with Frederick Spiegelberg, Alan Watts, the American Academy for Asian Studies. So these were the kind of, they charged a tuition, they held lectures, and it was kind of in that formal academic vein. But Ginsberg and Snyder, as I mentioned, caught wind of that, attended some of those lectures, and by 1955, through their own personal studies and such, and when the Six Gallery reading happened in 55, where Ginsberg read Howe and stuff, the East-West Union was well underway. The Beats I would put in a category of popular merging of East and West. Like I said, that Jeopardy question, although I don't know that it's ever actually been a Jeopardy question, but as a measuring stick of what's in the popular mind, I think the Beats are known for having brought that awareness to the people. And if there was a strain, an authentic strain of the Beats giving birth to the hippies, it would probably be in that realm. Although I would argue, and I'll probably make a lecture about it later, and Dennis McNally does a good job of wording it thusly. He says that the East-West situation was partly about bringing a real mind-body connection into play through things like yoga. My statement on that would be that was arrested quickly, if it ever really existed in substance, by the use of LSD, which kept the hippies and the users of LSD, at least the chronic ones, up in their heads, and made really took away the steam and substance from the idea of experiencing God in your body, actually in your body, not just in your head and your chemistry through substances. And then there's a mystical angle, which I'm going to get into as well. All right. I love this quote from Dharma Bums, just to kind of give it a little bit of kind of anchor my words in some of these original sources, you could say. So from the Dharma Bums, this is the character Jaffe Ryder talking to who was Jack in the Dharma Bums? Was it Ray? Was it Ray Smith? I can't remember. Anyway, he's talking to the character who is representing Jack. Think of what a great world revolution will take place when East meets West finally, and it'll be guys like us that can start the thing. I love that. Of course, this had been in their minds probably for a while, because they had been attending lectures, again, at the American Academy of Asian Studies. But it's beautiful because Jack and Gary only met for a brief period in their lives. They didn't see each other, I think, after the material that's covered, after the experience is recorded in the Dharma Bums, but certainly an earth-shattering meeting of minds at that time. So my research, so I moved here to Menlo Park just over a year ago, and I soon discovered, much to my delight, that Stanford University held Allen Ginsberg's papers, and I really wanted to get busy in those papers and see what I could find. And speaking of going off half-cocked, I was so excited to get in there that I made an appointment to the field reading room and anxiously awaited the date, imagining in my mind maybe 10 or 15 bankers' boxes of stuff that they'd cobbled together after Allen died, maybe, from his apartment in New York. And I didn't know really where this concept came from, but that's the vague notion that I had in my head. So I showed up for the appointment, said, "Hello, I'm Joseph Price. I'm here to check out the Ginsberg papers." And they looked me up on the computer and said, "Well, yeah, you do have an appointment now, but you haven't reserved any items to look at." And I thought, oh, because again, I was thinking a few bankers' boxes. They'd pull them out of a storage room, drop them in there with my, set the timer, and then I would just get busy in there. But that's not how it played out. Allen has 1,500 pages of nothing but contents for what's actually in his archive. And it's vast. And they have to store it over in Livermore. And so he explained this to me, and I'm standing there and kind of feeling a little bit stupid. And but I thought fast, and I said, "Well, are there any other researchers that were here that have reserved items from his archive that are still in the building that I could check out?" And he said, "Well, let me see." And he looked at their little push cart, and he said, "Well, we have a box here, which is the W's of his correspondence from the 1960s." Just to give you an idea, there are boxes and maybe multiple boxes for a decade of nothing but correspondence. And these were the W's, and I thought, great, I won't be wasting my time. I'll check it out. So I did. And so I took the W box and sat down at one of their beautiful big wooden tables with a nice little brass lamp, and just started looking through. I found some great stuff from Philip Whalen. I found an invitation to a party that they threw in Gary and Massa's honor at Muir Beach. It was a mussel feast. One date and bottle of wine was requested as the admission. Beautiful, like with a bird feather actually in the invitation, kind of woven through the top of the page there. Just beautiful. A lot of very interesting things in there. And but I got towards the back of the box and I saw a massive manila envelope, maybe a 1/4 inch thick. And I pulled that out, not knowing who on earth. Well, I knew when I looked at the label on the folder that the name was Howard Wheeler. And I thought, who is Howard Wheeler? I'm about to find out. So I opened up the envelope and the other letters that are in the folder and really went down the rabbit hole and was amazed. Now I should add here that I already had this shirt and I was thinking about this East-West thing and the Christ-Krishna connection, which was just a vague notion in my head, not really understanding what that meant or if it meant anything. And so I went there, though, with this kind of thought and feeling of in my heart and mind about, this is interesting. I wonder what I'm going to discover and if it is going to be related to this East-West connection. So this is about to, I'm going to cut this off and start a new one before this cuts me off so I can continue my story. Here goes.